We went to some diner in
San Leandro.
Elio's. Yeah, and it was
Good diner.
Just filling more and more with cops the longer we were sitting there.
Yeah, dude.
There were so many cops, and then so many more cops, and then it was just like all cops and us.
There were a lot of guns in that diner.
A lot of guns. It was incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, but didn't you feel... It was uncomfortable, but didn't you feel safe? That's a joke.
Yeah. My unease was growing so dramatically.
Yeah, we had to leave, and it was... I mean, all of us were uncomfortable, but you were like, I have to go.
Yeah. Well, they kept also looking over at us because we were like the only people that were... Probably what it was is
we didn't have guns.
Probably they wanted our seat to open up for the rest of the cops to show up.
We had a real good seat.
We had a good seat. But still, it's like a bunch of people with guns just like glancing over at you. And people who can legally kill you and get away with it is like...
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Hey, Wario, destroy Mario. This is episode 289 of the Insert Credit Show, the only video game talk show featuring this specific panel, punctuated by this specific buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and a video game habit I'm needlessly anxious about is that I don't like leaving a video game paused or idled for too long out of fear of misrepresenting myself on the time played.
Oh, man, I hate that one. I agree.
A really good answer. My name is Frank Cifaldi, and video game habit that I'm anxious about?
That's right.
Wow, got it. Brandon, I think you're more guilty of this than I am, but in a game where like NPCs might have stuff in their pockets, I gotta know what's in their pockets.
What's in that pocket? Yeah.
What's in that pocket? You might have something. And like, even once I've kind of figured out that all they have is a randomly spawning, healing item and some trash, like I still like, there might be something good in that pocket.
Yeah.
And I think that's even worse. Actually, it extends worst of all with JRPGs that have like a steal in them.
Oh,
it's like, I'm going to miss something crazy if I don't just like steal on every round and just never fight with my thief. So that makes me anxious.
Oh, yeah, you gotta do that. I'm Tim Rogers, and a video game habit that makes me anxious is... highly specialized, sort of more of a tradecraft aspect, but it's, I just don't play any video game without making sure all of my capture footage, hardware and capture cards and such are all locked up and ready to go and ready to start and record every single second of every frame of footage at reference quality resolutions directly to my network server. And
it doesn't count.
It makes turning a video game on such a chore, and then it's like I'm just it's like while the video game's on, I'm like, I guess I gotta play it, and then it's like by the time you get started playing the game, it's like, I don't really want to play this anymore, and it's like, but I have to. So that's my sad thing. But sometimes after about an hour, there's fun. So
it takes a while to get there.
Yeah, it takes a while
once you hit cruising speed.
I'm Brandon Sheffield, and the video game thing that causes me anxiety, I definitely get that pause screen one because it's like, pause the game and go out and let the dog pee, and the dog's taking a long time, and I'm like, God, the save file's gonna think that I spent hours on this game.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Why do I care about that?
This is killing my speed run.
It's so stupid.
I love that stuff, though. Actually, I don't.
I'm not speed running nothing. But
well, I don't care what the game thinks. I care that like I want to know how long I played this game actually.
Right.
That's true also.
So you should capture every second of footage of the game that you play, and you can drop them all in a premiere sequence, and you can see.
Trade one anxiety for another one.
Try that out.
I think for me, it's probably gonna be looting everything. I think I've recently almost cured myself of this, but I've got to like look for everything, find all the little bits and bobs and collect them, and then my inventory gets too full, and then I gotta like trudge back out of the dungeon the way I came to get to a shop, and then like sell off just the right things or see what things I have to drop and stuff. And oh god, I hate that I have to do that. I don't want to. I would love to not care, but it's like, oh, if I need this stick,
They don't let you not care in video games these days.
It's true.
Made it really hard to start my first Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah.
Gotta take every plate.
Your dang cheese wheels and stuff.
We might talk about that a little bit more a little bit later, but for now, here's my first question. How about that PlayStation showcase?
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, good one. The old how about the news? How about the news? Well, a couple of things. There was Bungie's first game that they're making as a Sony-owned studio, which is also coming out for Xbox and PC, interestingly, is Marathon. A very beautiful looking marathon game that happens to not actually be a single player marathon game like people wanted, and is instead an extraction shooter in the vein of Escape from Tarkov, which could be interesting, but its potential could be interestingness is definitely overshadowed by the fact of people are disappointed, as they should be, because it would be nice to have sort of a single player or multiplayer, sort of a marathon game.
Yep.
The end. There's other things too.
I looked at the graphics and I thought, that looks neat. And then
cool,
they described it and I was like, well, I'm not going to play that ever in my life. But, it's not for me. So
those games
okay.
Extraction shooters are pretty cool, though. They're a pretty neat alternative to Battle Royale, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I don't want to have to play a game with a squad and then some other squad that's more 12 years old than me can steal all my stuff before I leave.
They're pretty good with matchmaking these days.
I literally have not heard the phrase extraction shooter before this week.
Oh, really?
It was brand new to me.
Yeah.
Oh, well, y'all don't get the, what do you call it, the Game Designers Quarterly or whatever magazines I'm reading over here on my golden throne of the high horsedness. I keep track of this nonsense, and I shouldn't. I should not bother, but I do. Extraction shooters are so they're not battle royales, but they are much like a battle royale. They are lots of players on a big map, but instead of like 100 players, it's like 12 players, which is still kind of a lot of players. And you're in little teams, and what you're trying to do is get into your opponent's area, get a thing, and then get out back to your area. It's kind of a capture the flag. But the flag is I don't know, dollar bills or rupees or coins or whatever. You're just getting the stuff, getting it out, and just running laps basically, right? So or get in, get the thing, get out. Kind of sounds like it began as a pitch to a game designer being like, no, it's not capture the flag. And the phrase existed to for game designers to get mad about people calling something capture the flag, when it's a little more nuanced than that. Actually, there is more to it. I don't know. It's look up the game Escape from Tarkov, which is I believe the flagship of this particular genre. But anyway, there were other things there too. They showed Dragon's Dogma 2 footage. Looks real good. Final Fantasy 16, that final trailer they did for Final Fantasy 16 looks real good. That game's going to be cool. And the conversation about it will be very unbearable. So I'm going to just play it and have fun. What else did they show?
There's 2 Metal Gear announcements with no developers attached, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Metal Gear Solid Delta. They are remaking Metal Gear Solid 3, very clearly not putting a number, calling it Delta. Delta being like the mathematical term for update or change or whatever, right?
They should have called it Metal Gear Solid Triangle, though, in my opinion.
Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Triangle. But it's very clear that what they're doing is they're going to remake the whole Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5, and they're doing them in chronological order, which is very funny because Metal Gear Solid 3 is the one that takes place in the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it predates like Peace Walker and all that. I guess it is the first one, right?
Yeah, so it's like I saw a few people being like, "Why Metal Gear Solid 3?" And it's like, "Oh, well, I have an answer for you."
I also think it's the Silent Hill 2 of Metal Gear. It's the one that is slightly favored over the
They
rest.
can't make a new Metal Gear without Kojima. They could try, but it would be really, really.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
I mean,
you know what they could do if they really wanted.
What?
They could rehire Shinta Nojiri, the maker of the Metal Gear Acid games, and like that guy could make a new Metal Gear, but they'd have to find him and hire him and give him a bunch of money.
That's I mean, I don't know how much of a bunch of money Konami has. There's basically zero regard for the idea of human resources. They got what's his name, Masahiro Ito, still there for some reason, right? but everybody else is gone. Like every single cool person is gone. They have no anybody working on those Metal Gear games is a scab, in my opinion. And I'm not even like a diehard Kojima guy. I played all his games. I think he's a weird, quirky sort of dude. But it's like, yeah, you're a goddamn scab if you're working on that Metal Gear game, in my opinion.
Then there was the
hang on, I want to pause on their collection with the older stuff too, because that could be mishandled really easily.
Oh yeah.
They have not reissued Metal Gear Solid 1 ever, as far as I know. So my guess is they found someone who will give them an off-the-shelf PlayStation 1 emulator. So I wouldn't expect much from Metal Gear Solid 1 there. What's new there is Ghost Baby for the Game Boy Color.
Metal Gear Solid Ghost Battle.
I don't think they've ever reissued that one either, right? So that's kind of interesting. But again, that's just probably off-the-shelf emulator. I really like their ports of Metal Gear 1 and 2 that they did, other than the font. Did either of you try to play the remakes that they did on like PlayStation 2?
No.
I looked at them, but I never played them, no.
So there's something about the font that's, I mean, first of all, it's not to the pixel aspect ratio that the game is, so it just looks like it's from another universe. But also, there's just something wrong about the weighting of it. It just looks really sloppy and could easily have been a pixel font and fit. So I'm just digging in all the stuff when I was pitching them on like every product that they've brought out in the last 5 years, all the stuff we were going to do.
Yeah, and then they decided to do it themselves worse.
Yeah. So that's something we would have fixed, folks, is the font. So if it comes out with a bad font, we warned them. We warned 3 staff ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, three entire turnovers ago. Yeah. Your pitch lives on as like a .txt on like a server somewhere.
I don't deliver .txt.
Well, no. I'm saying somebody. No, you don't know how these Japanese companies work. Somebody looked at your pitch and they wrote a single sentence in a .txt with no attribution and just summed it up. And that's and then they put that somewhere, and that's what your pitch is now. Your PowerPoints, whatever it is you sent, all deleted to quote unquote save space on a server, like Panzer Dragoon Saga was deleted by Sega. Is that true? Do they really delete?
I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
No one knows that stuff.
People talk about Sega having deleted source code and whatnot. What else was there at the Sony
I wanted
thing?
to talk about the PlayStation Q. I want to talk about that.
Yeah,
the Nintendo Switch for the PlayStation 5 that you can only use in your house.
The Wii U for the PlayStation 5?
You can, yeah.
So I just wanted to talk about it specifically because I said that, because there were rumors about this from something that was called like gamerzone.net or something, like it was from somebody that I'd never heard of.
Kids out there trying to get paid. Yeah, I know.
And I was like, no way is Sony or any other company going to release a full handheld that it requires Wi-Fi all the time and is nothing but a screen that mirrors the PS5 in your house, because
it like looks like a control.
The use case for that is so small, and like it's just like not that. So they completely proved me wrong, because that's exactly what they did. So I just had to mention it because I was like, there's no way that this is what we're doing. Don't be fooled by this leak, because it couldn't be, but it was.
There's all those people out there who you would see them for throughout the whole PlayStation 4 era being like, Destiny just came out. Really loving it on my Vita with remote play upstairs in the bedroom, and it's like, what's that like? That's cool. Like, I'm not making fun of these people. I'm just like, that seemed like something so foreign to me. You know, like I would never do that.
And that's obviously what this has got to be. It's like my kid's using the TV, and so I'm gonna play PlayStation 5 in my bed, or I just want to play PS5 in my bed. Any of those things. It's totally fine.
Isn't it just that Logitech thing? Isn't there like exactly like a Logitech cloud gaming handheld? Isn't it just the same thing? Did they not? Is it like just a rebranded version of that? This can't be something that Sony had spent like an actual like full R&D budget on, can it?
I think that this was why I was like, there's no way they're making that, because they'd have to spend R&D budget making something that has a very limited use case, and it doesn't make sense. But It's got all the DualSense functionality and stuff, so they definitely spent some. And
all that battery eating DualSense functionality. Yeah.
But it's only a screen. It doesn't have like a processor in it or anything really.
Yeah.
It's just like
it's probably going to be some weird like bargain price that just makes even the most diehard consumer suspicious. You want to know what's interesting? I own a PSVR 2, right? I bought one just for, it's tax deductible for me, right? It's and I wanted to play Gran Turismo and check out Rez and, join the conversation, as it were. And during that PlayStation showcase, as soon as the PSVR logo came up on the screen, I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So it's like that's not really that's not good, is it?
No, it's not a good sign.
I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I come back and it's some game that's like, what if you could put on your VR headset and see your hands holding a gun? And I'm just like, okay, that's not necessarily. I got it so I could drive a cool car real fast. And I'll tell you what, it's really neat for that. I really like it.
They got their own Splatoon coming.
Yeah, Foamstars. Foamstars is hilarious looking. They've got some that extremely like way too busy looking Breath of the Wild city builder game. Good luck with that, is all I can say about that. But it looks neat, the setting looks really incredible. God, that Square Enix Splatoon, Big Lots store brand Splatoon, that Kmart store brand Splatoon,
Dragon Quest aesthetic if you squint at it. Splatoon.
That Aldi cereal brand Splatoon.
Kirkland Squidnatures, is that?
Hey,
something? No,
you got there.
Kirkland doesn't brand stuff, Brandon. They just put Kirkland on there. Aldi actually has a Count Chocula. They actually have a chocolate vampire on their chocolate marshmallow cereal. That's dangerous, man. That's weird.
On the edge.
Yeah, that's like they actually have a tropical bird on their Fruit Loops box. And it's like they get as close as they can. You squint from across the aisle in Aldi, and the cereals look like real cereals. They don't look like bits of cardboard in a cardboard box. They look like real cereal. You know what? They're actually okay. I've eaten Aldi cereals before, whatever. But yeah, I'm not like What else was there in this PlayStation thing?
Fair Games with the $sign was in there. The Talos Principle 2.
Principle 2. They made a second. I thought there was only one Talos Principle.
Phantom Blade Zero, Spider-Man 2 footage.
Phantom Blade Zero is a prequel to a Chinese mobile game, and it's like the most AAA looking video game I've ever seen in my life. Very funny. I don't know why that was so funny to me.
Play the heck out of Spider-Man 2, though. I'm going to say that.
New game
I want
from
to play
the
that.
Night in the Woods people.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, so they chose to go with a cat again, I guess.
Daring.
In the exact same art styles. It's curious. Let's see how that turns out.
Then you know what it is, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Speaking of art styles, are we finished with the PlayStation Showcase discussion?
Who cares?
Who cares? Here's my next question. I've been thinking about how a few years ago, I once participated in a focus group for a video game where they asked me what kind of art style the game should have. As examples, they gave me realistic, or cel-shaded, or pixel art. What other examples could they have given me? Or could I have given them?
Oh boy. Budget PlayStation 2.
Yeah, budget PS2 is good.
Broken. Just broken.
Watercolor is one.
Oh, yeah.
You got
Claymation.
Claymation's good.
Here's my favorite one: hand drawn, which people use to mean literally anything that they want.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they love doing that. I'm a big fan of Mario Kart 8's graphical aesthetic is what I would describe as I would have never known this phrase if I hadn't been to Big Camera or Yodobashi Camera in Japan, but there are certain types of toys that are made for children that are made of a soft vinyl, which in Japanese they abbreviate as sofubi. So
that's
I
what
feel
that
like
meant.
Sofubinid, right, is what it stands for. So toys that are made for younger children's, right, like chibises,
yeah,
and they're just like a soft toy that you can ram into your skull and not cause any blood wound, right? So I feel like Mario Kart 8 has what I would describe as a soft vinyl aesthetic or a sofubi aesthetic.
Sure.
So does Blue Dragon. Blue Dragon has a sofubi aesthetic. So that's the one I would suggest if I were on such a focus group.
That's a cool one. Katamari. That's an aesthetic. You could.
I think Annapurna's got that one like on. I think they bought that though. I think you're not.
Yeah, they bought that whole aesthetic.
Yeah. But who's this focus group from? It could be Annapurna.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm not allowed to tell you.
Wait, is it Annapurna or is it just like 1,600 different publishers that are somehow valuated at like $1 billion each? I like it. I mean, I don't know.
There's Chinese mobile game. There's Korean mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between Chinese mobile game and Korean mobile game?
The art style. So Chinese mobile game is either extremely swooping, pastel, flowy, or chunky big head characters with a certain type of eyeball. And then Korean mobile game is chunky big head characters with a different kind of eyeball.
Oh God, Frank's opened up 2 tabs now and he's looking these up. He's just like, you can tell he's probably muted his microphone so you can't hear the furious typing. He's like, I gotta see this.
Really sexy 3D lady.
Now
3DS.
Now he's got 3 tabs open. Oh my God.
I mean, it might help at this point to tell you that it was a gacha game.
I'll get you. Wait, what you could also have suggested like early 2000s Malaysian Flash game. Oh, I'm just thinking of New Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo DS.
Wow.
You know, I actually did see a Malaysian Flash game at one point, and it did look like New Super Mario Brothers before New Super Mario Brothers came out, and it was cool as heck. I don't care.
Oh yeah,
I actually think that game looks neat.
There's 2 more aesthetics you could go for. One is Newgrounds. That's one.
Yeah, that's the one I was waiting for a little bit of silence before I did that one.
Oh, sorry.
But,
Newgrounds.
You got it.
And then the other that I was thinking of is like, I don't know how to exactly say it, but like early 2000s Flash that's not Newgrounds, like whatever the Amico was trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God, the Amico would have been so cool. Let's be honest.
Like Foamstar Runner Core?
No, like
HSR. What about Foamstar Runner?
Yeah, Foamstar Runner.
That's
what?
It's like if you take realistic graphics and then made clip art of them and then animated it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
Licensed Game Boy Advance. So that's like really bad compression of
Terminator
like
3
art.
Rise of the Machines for Nintendo Game Boy Advance. Yeah.
I don't know that one, but probably
you'll know it if you see it. I don't know what that means.
This has those like cutscenes that are just like still images of freeze frames of movies that are compressed to like 63 colors.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a British Amiga game. That's a style.
Yeah.
Yep. You know exactly what it looks like.
Oh no! Like it has to do that every time you.
It has to do that, and there's everything's bouncing. Yeah.
I think there's just absolutely brazenly inaccessible, just authentically shellacked in a culture foreign to the viewer, like Ore no Ryori. There's just shellacked in culture. In a specific type of gag manga illustration style. There's a Suzuki Bakuhatsu is a graphical style all its own. Mm-hmm. Trying to think of games that are graphical styles all on their own that people just don't talk about a lot of these. What else is there?
That is what I told them. I told them you should make a game that doesn't look like any other game, and they said that's not really helpful.
Yeah,
we don't want.
They didn't employ. Artists, they only had tracers, I guess, people who were tracing things. Tracing is cool,
If they asked you how much water or soil you wanted, that would have been a ficus group.
Oh, yeah, that would have been right. Final Fantasy VII, I think, is a distinct art style that has never existed outside of Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, technically, sort of Shadow
Madness?
Shadow Madness is sort of...
I love Shad Mad. I'm a huge Shad Mad head.
Maddo Shadness.
I'm a huge Shad Mad head. When I met with Ted Woolsey for pitching a game to Xbox, Chris Charla introduced me. We talked about Chris Charla before the show. Chris Charla introduced me to Ted Woolsey. And I was like, I'm going to tell him I like Shadow Madness. And he's like, you don't have to tell him you like Shadow Madness. He said, you don't have to. He didn't say don't tell him. Right. And I sat down and I shook his hand. And I was like, love Shadow Madness, dude. And he was like, yeah. He was so excited. He was like, yeah, we really believed in that one. And I'm like, yeah, man. Game was awesome. Ted Woolsey. Shad Mad. That's the answer. More games should look like Shad Mad.
You've been asked to contribute the text for one of the many books you can find throughout Elder Scrolls to the next installment of the series.
They
What
paying
do
me?
you write? Yeah, they're paying.
Okay,
I write a prompt into Chat GPT and I go do something else.
Lord.
Nice. Right.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
no.
probably about as good as it would get.
I write
Yeah.
a deep, ridiculous, lengthy, overwrought story about the guy that is fixing the wheel on his wagon at the start of the game, and then when you get back there at the end of the game, he's still fixing his wagon wheel.
See, while you're doing that, I'm going to be on vacation.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I would just smoke a blunt and let the writing do itself, basically.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
does that mean?
smoke a big doob and then just go, oh, I know what to do. The ideas would come to me then.
I know what to do.
Yeah, they'd be solid as heck.
Is there any particular hook in this game series you would want to hang that doob on?
I'm going to tell you. So I've never actually read one of the books in the Elder Scrolls games, nor do I ever plan to be perfectly honest. I don't mind lore. I don't mind world building. I don't see any need to take any kind of an absolute Sith-like adversarial stance and post a 28 tweet long thread that's like, lore is the worst thing in modern games and here's why. And it's like just making lore for a person who doesn't, to describe why lore is bad. You're just basically begging everyone who actually gets through the thread to disagree with you. I feel like I've seen like 8 Twitter threads that were someone decrying lore.
He's Data's evil twin.
I don't think. Yeah, Data's. Yeah, he's got a better personality than Data. He's funnier. He's got a sense of humor.
That's true.
So I don't see the need to antagonize him so much. What was I talking about? Lore. So these books are all of the books in the Elder Scrolls games. There's just an interesting amount of how much I can't care less. Any lore that has anything to do with. Let's just go ahead and call it what it is. Kmart, Game of Thrones, right?
Mhm.
Like Kmart, Aldi cereal aisle, Game of Thrones, right? So it's like, what? What are the books usually? Is it just
Like diaries and stuff? Is
They'll
that
tell you about some god or some dragon or some ancient legend, and maybe you'll be able to find it in the game, and maybe you won't. And
the dragon?
Sometimes it's an in-universe play or something.
The dragon nephew Jaganar ascended to the 14th throne, or is it something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's trash then. I would queue up Chat GPT.
Okay.
And I would roll a joint.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
just watch it happen.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what? I'd say, yo, Chat GPT, break me off 42,000 words about a dragon nephew named Jaganar ascending to the 14th throne. And then I would sit back and just go, yeah, dude.
All right.
And
Let me
just
ask you a different question.
and watch it roll.
What would actually make those books worth reading?
I don't know.
Being,
I don't know if you need those.
Existing inside of a video game that's like extremely cool.
That-
Like if
That's fair.
I think even Brandon, you could conceive of a video game being like cool enough that you would want to read the books left behind, right? What is hanging out in the game, if not that. Somebody invents a really cool, easy way to just print localized text as like a texture on a book that you can turn the pages of while you're standing in this fancy library with a window overlooking a courtyard.
Lost Odyssey, maybe I would read.
Yeah, 1,000 Years
Yeah.
of Dreams. I bought that. I actually bought the hardcover of that and read it. I mean, it was in Japanese, but I that was real nice. I actually read that. So,
Nice.
what would make it worth reading? Get an author of literature to write them.
My answer to that question is imprison me, and it's the only form of entertainment I have.
I experienced that once. I was over.
You were
at my-
imprisoned, and all you could do is play Skyrim?
Kind of.
We were in prison, and all we could do was watch Fast and Furious 10 the other day.
That's true. I was visiting my friend Mark in Pennsylvania.
That's
and
kind of a prison.
The only thing he did the entire weekend was read the books in Elder Scrolls on his big TV. So it was either that or do nothing.
I was so embarrassed. A couple months back, I was in Pennsylvania, and I was like walking around, and I was like, "Yo, where are all the vampires at?" And a guy was like,
Wrong Sylvania.
you're in the wrong Sylvania, dude."
It was the off season, is what it was.
Yeah, boy, was my face red, and my arms were tired because I'd flown in.
Flown there.
We'll be right back after a quick break. This message is endorsed by the Insert Credit podcast and not the individual panelists. This is the Insert Credit Quick Break. I'm Alex Jaffe, and this week's episode of Insert Credit is sponsored by Sully, a very serious RPG. Sully is a 16-bit style role-playing game that gives the Venture Brothers treatment to the classic JRPG. Made by several members of the award-winning team behind Dungeons of Dreadmore, PC Gamer's Indie Game of the Year in 2011. Sully is set in a world where adventurer is a real profession, where demons conquer the world by corporate tactics, and where you can go to magic school to get a magic job and pay off your magic loans, only to ask yourself, after 20 years, where has all the magic gone? Sully looks like Phantasy Star 4 on the streets and plays like Valkyrie Profile in the sheets. Think a little Final Fantasy X, a little Super Mario RPG, and you'll have a pretty nice idea of what Sully's going for. Go to sullyrpg.com/Steam to wishlist Sully, a very serious RPG, on Steam today. Or go to sullyrpg.com/list to join the mailing list. A public demo will be available very soon. That's sullyrpg.com/Steam and sullyrpg.com/list. And if you would like to advertise on Insert Credit, we can almost certainly make that happen. Our rates are affordable, our terms reasonable, and I'm generally pleasant to talk to as the person taking sales. Just email show@insertcredit.com. Welcome back to Insert Credit. Hey Frank, guess what time it is?
It's 2:00 exactly.
It's time to go to the dirt bag.
Oh, wow.
This is the point in every show, well, almost every show, where we take a question submitted to us by the kind and generous patrons at patreon.com/insertcredit, who are able to take advantage of their membership by sending us these questions through a handy form, getting our monthly bonus episodes that you can't get anywhere else, and our weekly episodes ad-free. This week's question comes from LeFish, who asks, what is the finding out that Santa isn't real of video games?
Oh, very good. Oh, very good.
Heck, I think
Finding out Santa isn't real of video games is when is like being a 13-year-old who posts KYS loser underneath like a blog post on Kotaku.com where the author is like, Dark Souls should have an easy mode, and here's 3,000 words explaining very clearly and in good faith why I think that. And then starting to make video games yourself and learning that all video game difficulty is just artificially created by a game designer and none of it is real. And when your character dies, they don't even leave the map. The screen just goes black and they're just moved. And they're just learning that there's just no real difficulty, that games are just made by people. And that it's harder to make an easy game than it is to make a hard game, etc., etc. And learning that difficulty is not real, and that Dark Souls should maybe have an easy mode, and then like coming to that realization as like an 18. Some kid was relaying this to me in a Discord message about how people pitch me ideas for stuff all the time, right? So it's like emptying their brains in front of me, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of a neat journey to go on, to be like, to just thinking, just learning that difficulty isn't real in games or something like that. I don't know if that's exactly Santa Claus not being real in video games.
Yeah, this is a kind of also adjacent and probably not the real answer. However, I was talking with someone recently about HotB. We love to talk about HotB because it has a good name.
HOTB.
Company that has a good name. And nobody really knew what it stood for necessarily. And then
House of the Barns,
yeah. I played the game Detonator Organ on the Mega CD. And
it's not a bad game.
Noticed that the intro title screen said, under HotB, it said, he is over there, ... because. And I was like, well, that's news to me. But I didn't believe that was truly the name of it.
He's over there.
However, now on all the fan wikis and stuff, since I made that tweet, they say he is over there because
you did it. You done broke it.
And so then, like, how do you then undo that thing that was done accidentally. And so this guy O5 Pro has taken it upon himself to ask the people who were there, and turns out it was like
who were over there because
who were over there because it turns out that at the time cool A was like a phrase for things being good in Japan at the time.
Nice.
And they were like,
Cool
what's
A.
better than cool A, hot B?
HotB.
And
Okay.
so apparently
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't
mean
stand for
anything.
It's just hot B.
How do you then correct that when like the Santa's out of the bag, you know?
All right, so the bigger question here, forget the dirtbag question. The big question here is right now, I want you to say who's your pick? Hot B or sofubi? Who do we got? Hot B or sofubi? Who
Still
wins?
like hot B.
I feel like HotB.
Hot B.
I don't know. Sofubi is pretty good.
Yeah, sofubi is cool. I did just learn about sofubi today.
I can tell you the exact moment I experienced the Santa Claus isn't real in video games, and it's similar to what Tim was saying.
What is it?
It was the first time I saw a strategy guide for Pokemon, where originally this game felt absolutely infinite. Like you could go on and do anything forever in it, but no, it has very, very specific parameters, and it's a disillusionment to see where the edges of the world are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, my
I
answer is kind of similar. This didn't happen to me personally. I was just trying to think of what like a young person might experience today, and I think it might be like clipping into an environment and seeing that there's nothing actually inside of this building. That it is a false front. I like it. That seems like a moment where you realize like, oh, this isn't a real place.
Mine is related to that and is it's embarrassing, and so I'm going to tell it because it's embarrassing. Because while I was editing Game Developer Magazine, I
learned that people make video games instead of that it wasn't all just Shigeru Miyamoto.
I asked an artist because I was doing a lot of clipping through things and seeing around stuff, and I thought so like text when I got behind a texture, I saw that it was like reversed essentially because I was behind it, and it looked different because there were normal maps on the other side. And so I asked this guy if he'd ever like hidden anything secret on the backside of a texture, because I didn't understand how textures worked, and that it wasn't like a two-sided 2D object. It was a one-sided 2D object that on one side had some processing applied to it. And just like it was very embarrassing to be the editor of a magazine about game development and have this guy have to correct me on something so rudimentary. And that's it. So maybe that was when I realized I wasn't Santa.
You weren't Santa?
Yeah.
I think I think for most gamers, when you get to the credits of a video game and you see that there are more people than Shigeru Miyamoto and that Shigeru Miyamoto's not even in the credits, I think that's a real Santa Claus isn't real moment. You're playing like an American game or like a Konami game. It's like, where's Shigeru Miyamoto? And you're just looking for him and he's not in there. Not even in the special thanks. And you're like, that's weird. I don't understand. But I think an actual answer that is not development or joke related or personnel related is every one of these open world video games that banks itself really hard. Like the modern games, the more immersive ones. Cyberpunk 2077, really good example. Games that bank really hard on evoking verisimilitudinousness, right? And making the player feel like they're in the world, right? Like Cyberpunk 2077 does, if you're up for it, a phenomenal job of Disneylanding you along for like the first 3 or 4 hours of the game, like making the world feel really textured and real and rich and full of people and life. And then there's a moment in every one of these open world games where in some games it's later than others, though in some games it's earlier than others, where you just suddenly see something and the incompleteness of the world just kind of hits you and you're like, yeah, this really is just a dumb video game. And then you stop obeying traffic laws, you know? Because like games can get you, they can immerse you so hard, especially these, Cyberpunk 2077, now that it's been out for almost 3 years, I can just say confidently, it's a very well-made, interesting, cool video game that a lot of people worked really hard on, and they fixed most of the problems. It is just a very, very beautifully dense, rich video game full of stuff, all joking aside. But it's there's just a time where you go, oh, this is just a stupid video game in every game. And in Cyberpunk, it came like way sooner than it should have. Meanwhile, in Breath of the Wild, it took me like 80 hours before I was like, there's no caves. I can't. There's no tunnels or caves in this goddamn game.
Outside.
There's a couple.
Everything's
There's
outside.
a couple caves.
And then I started racking my brain, and I'm like, are there caves? There's got to be caves. And it's like, no. There's like one cave in the whole game, and it's the one you have to go into to get the Goron guy. It's like it's like a tunnel. That's like a tiny little tunnel.
You start in a cave, first of all, and then there's...
yeah. Well, no, see, that's how they get you.
And then there's caves that you blow up. You blow up with some bombs, and then you get into a cave, and there's like a stuff in there.
They're just little divots, though. They're not like caves. They're not like Elden Ring caves, where it's
They're
like
not big boy caves.
you're going
true,
like
but...
miles beneath the earth. And then I've had it spoiled for me that Tears of the Kingdom has tons and tons of caves everywhere, and there's like a narrative explanation for it. There's like an explosion goes off at the beginning of the game, and it creates caves all over Hyrule. And it's like caves is like a feature, like probably a bullet point on the box.
Caves,
right?
more like low rule.
We got caves. So it's like it took me like 80 hours of this game to go, wait, why aren't there any caves? So that was not exactly a Santa Claus moment, but it was pretty
Brandon,
close.
do you feel really clever about that low rule joke?
No, I don't.
No, because that's actually
good,
a thing.
because that's actually a
thing.
big Zelda thing.
That's a big Zelda thing.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anything about that. Anyway, this isn't exactly No Santa. It's more of a milkshake duck situation, but it is. I do see the light go out of people's eyes when, for example, I tell them that Castlevania Symphony of the Night composer Michiru Yamane believes that the 2020 election was stolen and is like a right-wing nationalist anti-immigrant person. Like when people see that their beloved creators that they've put up into this like spot of pure innocence,
or like when you tell people who owns King of Fighters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. People are like, but why? Why is it that way?
Meanwhile, there's also like Hideki Naganuma, who has this mixture of progressive and weird. This mixture of progressive and bizarre that is occasionally enthralling to look at, but usually worth not thinking about.
Yeah, he's more like one of those all those like violent Santa movies where Santa murders people. There's
like 3 of them now.
There's a whole bunch of those.
There's Bad Santa. There's Fat Man. There's Violent Night, and then now there's The Rock has one where he plays Santa's elf.
Yeah,
and J.K. Simmons is like action movie Santa. What's going on with Violent Santa?
And there were the old ones where Santa was like a killer. In the 90s, that was the whole thing.
Yeah,
is Violent Santa the new rapping granny?
And have you seen Goddarn Santa Claus himself is in a movie called Detective Crashmore? Have you seen this?
No.
Like it's nuts.
Yeah, I can't believe they got him for that.
All the way from the North
I
Pole.
heard they paid him $2 million for that one.
Yeah, he didn't even have to do a good job.
Whatever his next movie is, that's his quote. He gets $2 million.
Have to pay him.
I've learned that our viewers love when I surreptitiously quote "I think you should leave" sketches during the show. People are always begging me to reference more things that I like, that they also like. So that was for all all of the Detroiters fans in the audience. So
mention stuff.
Here's
my next question. If you could open the licensing rights to one car for every racing or driving game to use forever in perpetuity,
Honda Prelude.
What would it be?
2004 Subaru WRX, because I'm tired of it being the car that is like the cheapest to buy at the end of the tutorial of every video game. Just let me buy it. Just give it to me at the beginning of the game. I have a whole project going that I don't know if it'll ever bear fruit, but it's like rating every racing game post a specific point in time from like 0 to the Subaru WRX. How long does it take to get a WRX driving on a track, with a Sega Rally being the champion because it's 0 seconds. But a couple of games are 0 seconds. But it's just give me that one. Who cares? I don't know. You said Honda Prelude, Brandon?
Yeah, 5th gen Honda Prelude is what I would like to have just kind of all the time. Give me one of those. How about, why don't you give me a Kamata Fiera? That is That is a Ridge Racer automobile, which would mean that all racing games have to be Ridge Racer after that.
Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer. It's Ridge Racer.
I play a lot of Ridge Racer myself.
It was Ridge Racer.
It was Ridge Racer. He was right all along. He was right. It was Ridge Racer. It still should be Ridge Racer, but it isn't anymore. Give me an Assoluto Bisonte.
That Ridge isn't Racer anymore.
I'm just going to go ahead and say I 3,000% completely understand why there's no Ridge Racer anymore.
I understand it as well. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Just don't like it. I want the world to be in a place where it's okay to make a new Ridge Racer, but
I honestly think it was wise to stop making them. Like it was a genuine act of wisdom.
But I do think there's got to be a certain point at which it's okay to make a Ridge Racer again.
Yeah, they could try, but it would have to be like retro.
Yeah.
Like because they got to a certain point where Gran Turismo and its ilk had wrapped their tentacles around everything. People wanted real cars in real racetracks, motor racing being a real thing that lots of people are really
and kind of Burnout and those types of games sort of took the arcadiness to a different extreme, and so Ridge Racer was kind of sitting in the middle, being less over the top, more realistic than a Burnout, but less realistic than a
Ridge Racer was never trying to be a straight up real racing game.
Except for R Racing Evolution, which did not work.
That was where I think they started to see we got to get out of here.
Yeah,
they were like, we got to get out of here. Ridge Racer, first and foremost, was always a reason to explore making fast graphics. It's like let's just make some fast 3D graphics, see what we can do. It was all that, and they were beautiful. And there's a lot of treasure and beauty in those games. But yeah,
Frank, do you have a racing car you want to put in every racing game?
I'm pretty car blind. They're all just cars to me.
I want Frank to have. So when Frank and I were living next to each other, there was another neighbor, and I was saying that I was doing something with you or whatever, and he's like, "Who?" He didn't remember who you were, despite living next to you. I was like, "Oh, Frank. He lives right there," and he's like, "Oh yeah, the last Saturn in America."
Yeah,
and so I think you should have a Saturn.
Wait, why are there no Saturns in Sega Rally?
Good question.
That is a good question.
That's my good joke.
That's a good joke.
I don't want my Saturn to live on in a video game. I don't care about that stupid car.
No, that's why it works, because you don't care about cars and you drove that thing for like about 5 years longer than you should have. And so to me, like that's like the Frank Cifaldi vibe with cars. It's like, I don't know, just give me a car.
That's true. And I guess an old Saturn is a just give me a car.
Yeah.
Like if you put car into the scribble knots of the video game generator, that's what would come up.
I mean, realistically, it'd be a Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
Corolla I guess
depends on the generation.
Corolla or a Camry.
Yeah, Corolla or Camry.
Camry's more of a it's not as fun to look at from the side as a Corolla.
I think a Camry is more fun to look at from the side.
Do you think so? I think it looks a little car. It's just every Uber in New York is a black Camry. So I'm just seeing Camrys. I was in 2 Camrys today. So it's
nice.
It's just they're just boring to me. I mean they got that GR Corolla. You see that, Brandon?
Yeah.
Man, what a car, huh?
Yeah, it's weird how they've kind of switched positions, because the Camry used to be like the higher end thing, and now with this they flipping it around to the Corolla.
That's a Corolla for freaks, though, dude. That's like a Corolla for absolute weirdos.
Yeah, that's probably what I would get.
Yeah, I would drive that till its wheels fell off, literally. I wish I lived somewhere where I could just have a car. Frank, what car are you driving now? What do you got now?
He's got a Leaf.
Oh, a Leaf.
What's a
Is
Leaf?
it not? Oh no, it's a Spark. I'm sorry, you got a Spark.
We have 2 cars. We have a
Prius.
A Prius with all the stuff in it. It's like 2018, something like that, and Chevy. Is it the Spark? It's one of the 2 electric only Chevys.
Volt?
It's not a Volt.
The Volt isn't electric, right?
Yeah, I think
the Volt
that's pretty funny.
It's just a regular car.
I believe it's Chevy Spark. It's a little guy. Goes real fast, gets about 60 miles, which is way more than enough as commuter car. And then the Prius is like if we need to go further than that.
Man,
Yeah.
that GR Corolla starts at 35,000.
Oh, I'm looking.
So-
I've been looking at it. I've been eyeballing it, and I'm like, I could move to Madison, Wisconsin. I could move to Lawrence, Kansas. I could move to. I'm just thinking of like places I could move where it would be really cheap, and I could drive a car real fast.
I got
Places.
a kind of open-ended question for you here.
Hopefully, it includes plenty of room to speak about the Toyota GR Corolla.
You might. We'll see where you go with it. Here's my question. When do you block, when do you dodge, and when do you parry?
Blue check.
Is the true answer is I only ever dodge because the other things seem hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, I'd rather just like roll around like an idiot than try to figure out how to block things.
100%.
I guess I block, I dodge, and I parry when I forget to turn off Daruk's protection in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Because every time I try to block, it shows me that one of my 3 free parries will activate if the enemy hits me, so I then dodge. And if I don't make the dodge, if I dodge into another enemy attack, I parry. It's an example of blocking, dodging, and parrying at exactly the same time. I'm surprised I was able to think of that. Thank you. Otherwise, I don't know. I dodge when I'm playing God Hand. I block when I'm playing Elden Ring, when I'm playing Street Fighter, and I parry when I'm playing Bloodborne.
Yeah, I mean, so I block in Street Fighter when I'm holding back, which is a lot of the time, and some of the time, and then I parry when I accidentally hit forward at the same time as somebody attacking me, but not.
When
not
you
on
parry,
purpose.
it's usually a surprise to you.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, I totally did that on purpose.
You know, the parry in Street Fighter 3 is neat. It's a cool
it's
mechanic.
cool. It's cool
but,
and it's good. I have nothing. I think it's great. I'm just not good at anything.
I just don't like the control implementation for it.
Yeah.
I think there could have been a different button, like a parry button, like a foot, a gas pedal you step on. Man, why did nobody in the 90s or early 2000s make a fighting game with a gas pedal?
Yeah.
You know,
Question.
a joystick with 6
What,
buttons
for
and a
kicks?
gas pedal down by your foot? No, for like something else. Could have been the whole gimmick. Right?
Yeah. When you shift
Like-
up in Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with Time Crisis.
Yeah, in Time Crisis with the reload pedal. Yeah, it's neat. I don't know. Arcade games with gas pedals are cool. I got a
It's
foot
true.
pedal at my desk for some hotkeys. But that's what God
Hot
darn
bees?
level I'm on over
Hot
here.
Bees. I bought a bunch of broken PCBs. Not broken. Non-functional. Non-correctly functional PCBs from a guy in Italy. And they're going to arrive, and then we're going to see if they work. But I might, like, the result of that might be that I get, cool borders for $20
Cool Borders.
plus an hour of fixing it versus $250.
Cool Borders is a PlayStation game, though.
It is a PlayStation game, but I haven't actually been able to figure out what unique things the arcade version has, but it appears to have some, or at least the title screen's different. But that was related to something that we were talking about, and I don't
Blocking,
remember what it was.
dodging, and parrying.
Blocking, dodging. Oh no, it was related to the gas pedal thing. I
yeah.
had been looking up, like, could I just buy a light gun for my arcade machine? Could I just buy a steering wheel and just like have it floating out here and attached to the JAMA harness? And I believe the answer is yes. It would just be really fiddly and unwieldy. But I've been thinking about it because I've been buying these stupid boards because they're so cheap, and avoiding buying things that require a steering wheel. But then thinking, should I avoid it? Maybe I should just go for it. So been thinking about gas pedals in arcade games, and that's why
Gas pedals are cool. I just don't see why there ain't no fighting game with a gas pedal.
Nobody's thought of it.
Somebody's
Frank,
got to.
you know the company Philco?
Love Philco.
No.
So Philco is a Korean arcade company that made a bunch of original stuff and also some bootleg things. And I was reading up on them, and on KLOV, the Killer List of Video Games, it was stated it is unknown how many games Philco released.
Ooh.
And one of the games that I bought is an untested Philco game board of who knows what.
Yeah.
And so that's very exciting. I'm sure it's going to be one of the ones that are known, but what if it's not? Very exciting.
Board.
Very exciting. Philco.
A lot of dumb mysteries in those days. I find.
Yeah.
Like
They're really fun, those
do we
mysteries.
really know every Game 8 game? I don't know. Probably not. What about the supervision?
How could we know with confidence?
I'd play them all.
You would not play them all.
That's a joke. I absolutely would not.
I think I have loaded every Game 8 ROM at least once.
Is there a system you've played every game for?
Like, does that, like, what define played? Like,
Yes,
Like, I
yes.
just said I did for Game 8. Does that count?
Yes.
Give it.
I
Right.
would count that as one.
I also did that for the Game King.
Oh, yeah, Game King.
Don't think I did for Mega Duck yet.
Mega Duck rules.
I imagine the whatever the stupid like expanded PC engine is that has like 5 games on it.
Big boy engine.
Super graphics? Yeah, I played all
Super
those.
graphics. I think
Yeah,
I have.
that's an easy slam dunk.
I think I've loaded every 32X game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've played every 32X game. I've played every Neo Geo Pocket Color game.
I played every Atari 7800 game over a weekend. That's not a thing to ooh at all.
It's nice to be able to claim that.
You can get all
Okay.
the Jaguar games pretty easy, except if you don't count all the homebrew post-mortem nonsense
You don't have to count homebrew.
and unreleased stuff. But another one you could get pretty easy if you
3DO.
had a weekend is the Super A-Can, but you gotta get them all first. The Super A-Can doesn't have very
3DO would be very difficult.
Is 3DO that difficult? I don't
Well,
know.
like in Japan, there's a ton in Japan, right? There's a bunch of Japanese games.
Yeah, and
Bunch of
there's a lot
weird
of
ones.
like pornographic photo shoot games and things. And,
Oh,
just
hubula,
love it.
hubula. I don't want to
That's
touch
right.
those.
I also feel like 3DO is probably a CDI situation where it's like, okay, what counts?
Right.
Yeah.
CDO, 3DI.
You know, like the software that I don't know, like shows you all the new Toyota cars or whatever. Is that a game?
Is GR Corolla in there?
Probably.
I would say it counts as a game if it's on Moby Games.
What?
A lot of
Is
games
that-
aren't
Wow.
on Moby games.
Okay. All right.
That's a totally unproblematic statement with zero repercussions.
Is Moby Games related to the Herman Melville book, Moby Games?
Yes.
I don't know why I found that funny.
Moby
but I
Games
did.
or the catalog.
Herman Meldivision's Moby Games.
Yeah.
Or the website. Is that what it's
Or
called?
the website. There you go. I was thinking what the or the would be.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So King James Bible for use on Game Boy is on Moby Games. So,
Yeah, it's a game.
the Bible is a video game.
It sure
Alex
is.
Gaffney.
It sure
Classy.
is, Frank. Some would say the greatest video
Wait,
game.
who's Frank? Who's in the credits? Who's the writer?
Oh God, let's see. It does not have credits.
Oh, God.
What?
Well, it's the King James version. Did King James write the Bible?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
I guess he must have.
it's
I
basically.
think he sponsored it. I don't think he wrote it himself.
Got it.
You know what? Speaking of somebody who was raised Catholic, the King James Bible is so much better than the ones that followed it that are more literal or whatever. King James, guy was a proto Hollywood executive genius at his linguisticals in there. It's well written.
Is Ving Rhames named after King James?
Yes,
I thought so.
absolutely.
I'm gonna paste in the navigation for switching books within the King James Bible into general there.
Oh, that makes it a game, all right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Old, Num, Ruth, Tukun, Neh,
Let me take a look at this.
Prav, Germ,
Zeke
Ekel. Oh, one Kern.
to the
Yeah.
One Kern's my
one
favorite.
the and to the and oh, did you miss tit down here?
Nice.
Wild.
One
Please
Tim.
open the book of Sleeve McDykel.
Yeah. Pizzlem. Axod, that's me.
It sure
I'm
is.
excited.
Here is
Wait,
the end of our
and
show.
what? No, there's one other thing here.
Yeah.
Link you to the screenshots on Moby Games. There is not one screenshot of a Bible verse.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because that would violate separation of church and state.
Well, I was going to say
Yes.
copyright law, but yeah, maybe that's it.
Oh, but there's also Bible Word Match and Bible Shepherd. Those are games.
those are games.
Yeah, Bible Shepherd might be what makes it a game.
The Bible is my shepherd, and I shall not want video games. Is that it? I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
the actual rule for whether or not something counts as a game, to say you've played all the games on a console, is you have to be able to block, dodge, or parry.
Yeah.
Can you block, dodge, or parry in the King James Bible?
I don't know about that Shepherd game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
so-
can psalm, lamb, and hag.
Nice.
Close enough.
Close enough. It's a game. We're going to close out with a Violence Island. This is our last Violence Island of the season before we bring it to our Tournament of Champions, so lots on the line.
TOC.
It's the last one before the next one.
It's the last one before the next one. This is a game, to explain to anyone who is hearing this for the first time. We have a thread on our community forums.insertcredit.com where people can submit who would win in a fight scenarios of their fantasies.
Is this your first time?
Yeah.
It's fun how you trip up on the ones that you say the most.
Yeah.
I don't really understand it, but that's fun.
This is my first episode, guys.
It's fun.
Give me a break. It's my first day. We adjudicate them, and then we take the winners of those matches and make them fight each other until there's one champion. Our first match is Buck Bumble versus Mr. Mosquito.
Oh, well, Buck Bumble's got guns and such,
He's
right?
got guns for sure.
Mr. Mosquito's literally just a mosquito.
He's a regular old blood-sucking insect.
Also, Mr. Mosquito is trying to help the family have a good time and help them with their day, actually. Like, the result of him biting them is always positive for the person getting bitten.
And Bumble's just in it for himself.
He's just in it for himself. He wants to murder and kill.
Yeah.
Buck Bumble, let's face it, Buck Bumble's nuts.
Yeah.
He sure
He'd
is.
kill anybody.
I mean, I sense a little bit of fear in all of us
Uh-huh.
talking about Buck Bumble. Yeah.
Don't say his name 3 times in a row.
I don't like him.
Bayonetta versus Alicia Claus, the Bullet Witch.
Oh, no, the Bullet Witch
Ah,
siblings.
shoot. That's a difficulty.
Well, speaking purely from like a play control perspective, about blocking, dodging, and parrying and such,
Yeah, Bayonetta's easier to
Bayonetta has
control.
all of those moves, and Alicia Claus has basically none. She has like a jumping cartwheel she can do that looks like it, but her center mass stays in exactly the same place.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
during the maneuver. So it's like, I love Bullet Witch. Probably best game of all time, right? I mean, I don't think any of us disagree with that.
Sure.
And every level is really good. There's not even one like really
not even
bad
one
level.
really annoying one.
Yeah,
or anything like that.
So it's a real shame to say this, but I think Bayonetta would turn her into dirt.
Yeah. She'd turn her into avocados.
Yeah, I was thinking about like the magic and stuff, but yeah, her avocados and etc. That she can do are pretty as world beating as Bullet Witches are, if not more so. So yeah, I mean, like, I think Bayonetta gets closer to doing a summon in a way than
She can manifest an Iron Maiden around a person with the touch of a button. Whereas Alicia can run really, really slow, taking way too many footsteps.
Yeah, one thing Alicia can do is do like a force blast that catches a small piece of debris behind her, instantly killing herself.
Yes.
A force blast that requires the opening of a screen overlay menu.
Yeah.
It should have just been a button, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Bullet Witch. I'd smoke that
I'm
game.
seeing that Bayonetta wins this without even having to fire a bullet.
Oh, they probably fight a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
I could also see I could see Bullet Witch Bayonetta absorbing Bullet Witch into her coven somehow. But anyway.
Oh
let's keep
yeah.
going.
Yeah, I think that would
She
be
recruits her after
cool as heck.
Yeah, I think she would recruit her.
E102 Gamma from Sonic Adventure versus Robo from Chrono Trigger.
I have to remind myself what E102 Gamma looks like.
It looks like a robot in the Sonic universe.
Yeah, he looks like Robo from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I see where this is all
he's
going.
He's just that regular robot, but he's got a little shooty boy himself.
I googled E102 Gamma, and the answer I got was negative 56.1577159915.
Oh, very good.
Well,
What do you get if you Google Metal Gear Delta? That's a joke.
E102 Gamma's hanging out with all those Sonics, so I feel like it's probably more powerful than Robo.
Yeah?
Well, Robo's hanging out with dudes who can kill the alien that is going to end the world,
He's
though.
hanging out with Magus.
Yeah,
Robo kind of sucks, though.
he does kind of suck. That's kind of what I was.
He's a nice. I mean, he's an aesthetic that I would like in my house, in pieces of furniture or whatever.
He is never going to give you up or let you down.
Yeah, that song Yasunori Mitsuda claims to have never heard, which was very incredible.
Come on.
Yeah. Just like
Come
Rockstar
on.
never watched The Sopranos.
Yeah, I do believe the author of Hunger Games never saw Battle Royale, though.
Yes.
I honestly do believe. I honestly do believe that.
It's an easy enough concept to have parallel thought on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million most dangerous game takes out there.
Yeah.
It's different enough.
Well,
Okay, who's winning this?
I'm saying E102 Gamma is but I don't have a lot to base it on. But this isn't a fight that I care
I'm
about
basing
too
it
much.
on. I'm saying Robo from Chrono Trigger because E102 Gamma just feels like diarrhea to control. Where Robo from Chrono Trigger, you press up on the D-pad and he moves up.
Just goes up.
whereas E102 Gamma's like it's like rolling a fistful of dice and
All right.
and then having diarrhea.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter to me because he's not going to win.
Yeah, the Sonic one.
Okay.
You're going with the Sonic one? That's
Really?
He sucks. He's like he's I don't know. Anyway, who cares?
He can move
Who
around
cares?
more. Robo even join your party? I don't remember.
He does. He's a
Yeah.
party
He
member.
He joins.
He takes big damage though. He's a big old damage taking guy.
So
Takes a
it
lot
seems
of-
like we have one strong Robo opinion and two weak Gamma opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. That
I
seems to
don't
be
care,
about
though.
how these things go.
Well, I don't know. Great. Do Tim's. Great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why
I
not?
agree.
Why not?
All right. Our next is
I don't
Baby from Super Monkey Ball versus Mature from King of Fighters.
Oh, Mature
Okay.
would stomp.
There's literally a kick button in King of Fighters, and the Super Monkey Ball monkeys
Yeah.
are in balls. So,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's possible to roll that ball too well on like a roaring ocean after having been kicked off a cliff.
Now I believe the ball's indestructible.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know, but you kick the ball and then they're just
Then it's
in
gone.
there, out there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we specifically established the volcano on Violence Island for the defeat of Ai in a previous season.
It's true.
And we've all been to the zoo, like the chimp habitat where there's the big sign that's like caution, chimps can't float, right?
Yeah.
So we know
Yeah.
that these monkeys aren't going to float.
Well, that's why they keep them in the balls. Yeah.
She's also an assassin.
So if they get out of the
Sure.
ball, they wouldn't be able to swim back to shore. They would just sink and die.
All right, time for our semifinals. Buck
Chimps
Bumble
don't
versus
float,
Bayonetta.
man. Chimps don't float. I don't care who knows it.
Buck Bumble versus Bayonetta.
That's right.
I guess it's Bayonetta.
Yeah. I think Bayonetta would.
Now, let's
Bayonetta's
think about this.
Yeah,
Bayonetta's bonko. Yeah,
yeah,
I think she's bonko.
she's a little bigger than him too.
Little.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Robo, a character we're not really very excited about, versus Mature.
Who's taller? Just take it. Just
That's a good
figure out
question.
who's taller and just say whoever's taller wins. I don't know. Just put it down to that.
Let's find out.
I think Robo. is
Robo
gonna-
has those gorilla-like proportions.
Let's see.
Mature is 5'10".
She's 5'10".
It's pretty tall.
Yeah.
Robo's probably like 5'2".
Robo is over 300 years old.
Yeah, but
Okay, how do
he's
you- well,
god darn built to last.
how does
dude.
that
How do you
translate to
convert
height?
that? Yeah, convert that to height.
How
How
many
do you
years
convert
in an
age to
inch?
height?
You got to count the rings, right?
Yeah.
I've grown 1 inch a year since age 14. So
Okay.
So he's gotta be 300 inches.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, he takes it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see the flaw in this. And, Bayonetta's probably beaten giant robots before.
I mean, Tim grew 1 inch every year since 14, but he also started at 14 inches. At
That's
14.
right.
yeah, now I'm 44 inches tall.
Yeah.
He's not bigger than Chrono, right? Taller than Chrono.
I'm thinking back
Isn't he?
to there's a concept art where he's sitting on the ground with his head open and Luca's like sitting on his shoulders.
Okay.
Like with a screwdriver in his brain. Right. There's that. There's like that.
Yeah.
I've played the beginning 10 minutes of Chrono Trigger about 6 times.
I've never played Chrono Trigger. It's good if you ever feel like playing.
I once played about I don't know, 7 hours or something.
No,
I
it's,
found it. He's 5'9". He is 1 inch shorter than Mature.
Man.
But he's got those big long arms. Like I don't know.
Yeah, but
I don't.
you set the rules. It's
You
mature.
set the rules, Tim.
Whoever's taller, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be looking at my phone if I weren't snowball bowling in Breath of the Wild right now.
I think
so.
I think what we've learned is that Robo really inspires a lot of apathy around here. It's just something about that guy.
We're
Yeah.
not excited about it, but he's definitely going on to the finals to get his ass kicked by Bayonetta.
Robo is pretty cool as a character in a piece of fiction. That's about it, though.
Yeah,
He's neatly positioned
but
in
this
that
is
in
not
that story.
who's the more interesting character. It's who's the best at punching.
I mean, Robo has some pretty strong punches, though.
But are they made out of magic hair?
Mature is
I don't
probably
care.
better at punching than. Oh, are we now Robo versus?
Yeah, Yeah, I think we're at Robo versus Bayonetta.
Bayonetta wins.
Bayonetta's real tough. Yeah, Bayonetta's whole thing is she's a character who could easily take Dante from Devil May Cry to the glue factory. That's like her whole idea.
Yeah.
She would take him on a date to the glue factory
And drop him off there.
A first and last date.
You know, he would pay, if you know what I mean, in glue. She would turn Dante into glue, is all I'm saying. That's like the whole concept of her. Her entire move set is just designed to destroy Dante if they were to ever meet. And Dante would kill almost anybody on the Violence Island, I would say.
Oh, Bayonetta, destroy Dante.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then Bayonetta would destroy Dante, so it's she might be the most powerful video game character of all time.
We'll find out next
We'll
time.
find out.
I don't know how much either of y'all have played Bayonetta games. She's pretty tough.
Yeah, she kills God in that first game.
Yeah, she could kill Kratos as well, I think.
Our Season 1 champion.
Yeah, she could kill that goddamn guy.
Well, she'll have her work cut out for us next time on
We'll see.
Violence Island in about a month. Does anyone have any recommendations?
Sure. If you want to watch kind of a fun, what do you call those, movie?
Oh, yeah, they got those.
Stephen Chow's Fight Back to School. It's got some problematic stuff in it because it's from the late 80s or whatever. But it's pretty good. It's got some classic Stephen Chow jokes, some okay rumbles. But yeah, he's like, the conceit is that he has to go back to school to find out about some like gun running ring that's happening that may be involved in the school.
As one does, yeah.
But then he just has to, take classes and go to school and try to flirt with the teacher. At one point, he's like, "How old would you say that I look to you?" And the head of the school is like, "Oh, about 30." And he's like, "No, I'm 17." He's like, "It doesn't matter how old you are. We're gonna admit you in this school anyway." Just like really, just like aggressively stupid, almost Mel Brooksy kind of just like, there it is. There's a joke.
They just put him out there.
Yeah. So there's that one, and also I'm gonna recommend. I'm a couple years late to the scene here, but Pink Pantheress is a pretty good vocalist. Makes really short pop songs that have a Y2K kind of a vibe to them, and it's very interesting to me. So like, she's got a song called "Break It Off" that heavily samples Adam F's "Circles," which is popular like D&B from the time, but it's neat.
Drum and bass.
Drum
I know what that
and
stands
bass.
for. Not to be confused with DMB.
No.
Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah. Dave Matthews bass.
If you sample a lot of DMB from the 90s,
it's kind of a different vibe.
They'll kill you.
But I really did think it was interesting listening to her take on kind of like a Y2K revamp, because she was born in 2001, so she's not doing it out of nostalgia. She's doing it out of the different thing. So like when the stoner rock was bringing back the 70s rock style, that was done by, people born in 1981 or whatever, not born in the 60s who listened to it at the time. And so I hadn't really experienced too much of this vibe of music that was actually popular, that takes the Y2K kind of thing and turns that into something new. So I thought that was kind of interesting to listen to and look at. So check that out. That's what I got.
Check it out. It's always interesting when you see the kids learning about stuff that you liked when you were younger than them.
Yeah, it is. And it's nice to when they do it in a way that's like,
it contributes, yeah.
It contributes, and it's different than how I would have done it, because I would be too close to the source material.
Yeah, you didn't have enough other influences to, there's not enough new stuff to bounce it off of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, music was a lot more kind of insular and homogenous, at least in the popular circles back in those times, because of the lack of internet tools and streaming services and such.
God darned radio sometimes.
Yeah, again, I've said this a million times. You had to talk to a guy. to listen to a CD. You want to hear this Cornelius remix of this Beastie Boys song? Oh, you got to talk to the worst guy in the world for 30 seconds, and he's going to make you feel like an idiot for the rest of your life. You're going to remember this guy.
That's
Comic book guy on The Simpsons is a very, very weak caricature of this guy.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, he's out there.
I just made a Simpsons reference because someone in the Action Button Discord, discord.gg/Action Button was a Rainbow Battle Kid being like, I just can't believe you don't know the Simpsons. And it's like, and then it turns out I do actually know all the good Simpsons. And then people are like, why don't you reference it more? And I'm like, there you go. That was for everybody in that Discord thread. So that's my recommendation, is hang out in the discord.gg/Action Button, the Action Button Goblin Bunker. It's the place to be.
Frank, you got one?
Abandon all social media. Well, I'm in the middle of my recommendation.
Yeah, come on.
I thought that was the end of it. Sorry.
I recommend you listen to Tim and let him finish.
I'm sorry.
Abandon all social media and hang out in the Discord. It's like being in an IRC. Except it's with somehow Discord doesn't have the best user interface in the world, but it is a little bit better than IRC used to be. If you're a 90s young adult like myself, I'm an 80s kid. I'm a 90s young adult.
Yeah.
If you're a 90s young adult like me, you'll find it akin to IRC and enjoy it. You will. Discord.gg/Action Button, Action Button Goblin Bunker, Twitch.tv/Action Button every Friday. Please stop asking me where I am. I'm right here. And I'm on Twitch and I'm in that Discord. If you can't find any of those things and all you know is my Twitter, well, first of all, you're not listening to this. You're literally not
That's
here.
true.
And second of all, I don't really want to chill with somebody who can't find this place. Right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Find this place.
Put in a tiny amount of legwork.
And shout out to the guy who lives across the street from me, who watches my videos and saw me on the street this morning. So shout out to that guy. You've already found my house. You know where I live. We both came within like 30 seconds of the other, each asking the other, what floor do you live on, and do you face the street? Right? It's like, want to make sure you can't see me in my living room. How does one politely inquire when one's YouTube, whether or not one's YouTube viewer has ever seen one hanging out as one does, and sometimes letting it all hang out. I don't walk around nude in my apartment, period. And I don't recommend it, kind of going against what a popular song would recommend. I don't recommend it. 90s young adults will know what we're talking about here.
What about after midnight?
After midnight. Yeah, anyway.
That was a very low-hanging fruit joke, sorry.
Yeah, it's very good. But, shout out to that guy. Discord.gg. If only he could find discord.gg/Action Button. Then
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, that's how it goes, I suppose. I want to recommend to that guy, don't post my address on social media. Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't shout it from any rooftops, even your own, because I would hear it probably because I can see the rooftop. Yeah. Well, that's all I got for today. Thank you.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Sure that's all.
Whatever, man.
All right. We are officially done with Tim's recommendation. That is the end of it for this week. Frank?
Oh, I just wanted to hear Tim out. That was my thing.
That was it.
All right.
Yeah. Frank, get in the
Frank's
Discord.
recommendation is hear Tim out.
Pop in the discord.gg/Action Button, and we'll provide you a role. We'll make you a king among posters if you'd like, and you can post once a week or so, and everyone will celebrate and applaud you. So it's right there.
If you like this episode of Insert Credit, why don't you rate and review it? It's been a while since we got one. I think it's been like 2 weeks since somebody rated or reviewed our show. It would be nice to get another.
Why
That's
don't
weird.
you?
Don't they can't? Is it possible for the streaming services are just like deleting shows now, right? Is it possible for Spotify to just delete our podcast because we don't get enough reviews? Just say it is.
It could happen.
Yeah,
you
we
keep
don't
it
know.
alive with your reviews. You can support us on patreon.com/insertcredit, where you could become a patron to submit your own questions, listen to monthly bonus episodes, get a regular weekly episodes ad-free. You could also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or Tim's community at discord.gg/actionbutton. Send all business inquiries to show@insertcredit.com or find a video of this episode on YouTube. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And that ridge isn't Racer anymore.
red of face and tired of arm, the dragon nephew Jaganor ascended to the 14th throne. What happened then surprised even the ancient ones. There we go.